Hi guys, my name is Natalia and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about book series and specifically book series I'm in the middle of. I will talk about series that I do plan to finish as well as the series that I decided not to finish. I think maybe let's start with the series that I actually do want to continue. The first series is called The Housemate. There are currently 3 books in this series. I only read the first one, but I really enjoyed it, so I definitely want to pick up the other 2. From what I gathered, in the second book we follow like a different character. I mean, it does make sense because the story of that was presented in this book was pretty much complete, so there's not much to add there. So I guess we just follow like a different character. I'm not really sure. Obviously I have to read it in order to find out, but basically it is a psychological thriller. This book tells a story of Millie who becomes a live-in mate for this wealthy family. Soon she will start uncovering some very unsettling secrets about the family. And I do think this thriller is very like dark and unsettling and full of suspense, and it just kept me at the edge of my seat the entire time. I had so much fun reading it. I gave it 4.5 stars, so it is a thriller that I can highly recommend, and I definitely want to continue reading this series. The next series that I want to continue is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have the first 3 books here, and I did read all 3 of them. I actually initially thought it's just going to be a trilogy, and then I found out there is like 4th book now. It's called the Hawthorne Brothers, so I have to finish that one. This series is basically like a twisted mystery series about this girl Avery that inherits a fortune from a man she basically has never met, and in order to receive the fortune, she has to move in to his house where his family lives, and he basically didn't leave any inheritance for the family. So it is pretty twisty, and this guy also really likes riddles and puzzles, so there's a lot of solving different puzzles and mysteries in this book. Avery is obviously trying to find out why this guy left her his fortune, because it just seems like it cannot be a coincidence. And he basically has 4 grandsons who live in that house, so Avery has to live with them now. There is also a love triangle, and it's very quick and entertaining read. It's really fast paced, and the chapters are really short, so you can just read it so quickly. I think it's a great book if you are in a reading slump maybe. So yeah, like I said, I do have to read the last book. I hope no more books come out after that, but I don't know. But yeah, I have to read the next book in this series. The next series that I want to continue is the one that I started reading very recently. It's called The Stolen Heir duology. Basically, it's like a spin-off from the Folk of the Air trilogy, which I do have here, and it is one of my favorite series of all time. So I actually do recommend reading the Folk of the Air trilogy first before diving into this one, because I think a lot of the explanations and relations between the characters could be pretty confusing if you haven't read the original trilogy. But yeah, I did read the original trilogy, and now I decided to start this one. So in this book we follow Suren or Ren and Oak. So Oak was actually the younger brother of the female protagonist from the original trilogy. Yeah, basically it's a fantasy series filled with political intrigue and just so many interesting things. And I do love Holly Black's writing. I think it just makes me imagine everything so vividly. Her writing is just so immersive. I love it so much, and I love the world created in this book. Now, I don't think I loved it as much as I did the original trilogy, but I still gave it 4 stars and I still enjoyed it, and definitely the ending made me really excited to continue reading this series. So I definitely will read the second book probably like very soon, because I'm really intrigued about what will happen next. The next series that I will continue is Summer, aka The Summer I Turned Pretty. Yeah, it is like a very popular summer romance. I read only the first book. It is a trilogy. I would say I wasn't like super obsessed with this book, but I still felt like it was pretty fun, and it was like a very light summer read. I decided that I will continue this series nonetheless. Actually, the summer is now like coming to the end, so I feel like I should have read the rest of the series this summer, but I don't know, I guess I didn't feel like doing it. But I feel like at some point in the future I will read it. So this series follows Belly as she navigates love and friendships over summer spent at the beach house together with 2 brothers, Conrad and Jeremiah. So again, it is a love triangle. I don't really mind love triangles, but I also don't like necessarily love them. But again, I just thought it was, a cute, very light summer read. So I will probably read it maybe next year during the summer. I think now it's just too late. I don't feel like reading it, but I will read it at some point. I do promise that. Okay, the next series that I definitely need to continue is the series about Simon Snow. So the first book is called Carry On, and I actually have to reread it before I go on to reading the rest of the series, because it's been quite some time, like a few years since I read it. I think when I read it first, it didn't have like the other books in this series yet, so that's why I didn't read them. First I will reread this one, and then I will continue the series. I believe it's a trilogy right now, and it's a fantasy novel that talks about Simon Snow, who is like a chosen one in the world of wizards, and he will end up like falling in love with his grumpy roommate Baz. So it's like a really cute love story with a lot of magical elements. I don't know, I just remember having so much fun reading it, so I'm really excited to dive back into this series and to finish it. This next series, I would say I'm a little on the fence about. Like, I think I will also have to reread it probably if I do end up continuing it. The series is called Truly Devious, so I gave it like 3.5 stars. It was like, I enjoy like the creepy, unsettling atmosphere and all of that, but I just feel like all of the characters were like meh, and I don't know, I think I was just expecting something more and it didn't live up to my expectations. But I mean, it wasn't so bad that I want to DNF it, so that's why I'm like on the fence about it. Let me guys know if you've read this series. Like, do you think it's worth continuing it? I think I might give it another chance, so I will probably reread this one because I don't really remember what happened in that book. It's been a while since I read it, so I would like reread it and then continue reading the series and just come to conclusion whether I like it or not. But this book is basically a YA thriller mystery about Stevie, who gets accepted to this like elite school, but in that school there was like this unsolved mystery that happened many years ago, and this story basically talks about Stevie trying to uncover the mystery and find out what happened. So there's that. Okay, so these are all the series that I'm currently reading, and I will definitely continue reading them. And now let's move on to the series that I decided to DNF. Now, obviously, it is just my opinion. For whatever reason, I didn't really like this series, and I feel like if I continue this series, I will just be bored and it will be like a waste of time essentially. So I decided not to continue them. The first one might be pretty controversial, but it's A Court of Thorns and Roses. So basically, I read the first two books. I remember I read the first one and I was all kind of like, should I continue? Should I not continue? But so many people were telling me the second book is the best one. Just, continue the series. So I continued it, but I still didn't feel any excitement. I don't know. I think both of these books were extremely long, like unnecessarily long. There were just so many scenes that just were dragging on, and I felt that this book would never end. I'm also not that attached to any of the characters, and I guess I was a little bit shocked at like how some of the characters changed. Like when we went from the first book to the second book, some of the characters changed like so much that I was almost like, is this real? Because I don't know. I mean, yeah, sometimes people change, or sometimes like we realize that people are not who we thought they are, but I don't know. I just thought like some of them were acting a little bit out of character. Overall, I decided not to continue it. I think, if I try to continue it, I will just not really change my mind. I thought the second book could change my mind, but it didn't. So I do give up on this series. I'm sorry. I might try another Sarah J. Maas series. I do want to read Throne of Glass. I think I read it in the past, but I don't really remember it. So I might give it a try, but this series is a no for me. So I'm so sorry to everyone who loves this series. It's just my personal opinion, okay? The next series that I won't be continuing is Alex Stern. The first book in this series is Ninth House, and it's the only book that I read, and I decided not to continue it because I just didn't really feel that much interested in this book. I mean, I thought I will really like it because basically it's like dark academia themed book that talks about secret societies. So I was really excited to read it. Also, Leigh Bardugo wrote Six of Crows duology, which is like one of my favorite series of all time. So I was like, I really thought that this book could be really good, but I ended up not really feeling it. First of all, I found the world building pretty confusing. Like at first I didn't even know what is happening. I didn't understand anything. I didn't really like any of the characters, which is a shock because when I was reading Six of Crows, I loved so many of the characters. They were so like distinctive and so like memorable, and I just loved them so much. But this book was like the opposite. None of the characters felt memorable to me. And again, as with A Court of Thorns and Roses, I also felt like it was dragging a little bit, and I also had the feeling like, oh my god, will this book ever end? So I just didn't enjoy it enough. I don't think I would enjoy the second book, so I will not continue this series. The next book I definitely won't be finishing is Serpent and Dove. This is basically a fantasy series about a witch and a witch hunter that are forced into a marriage. So the premise sounds really interesting, but I just didn't really like it that much. First of all, I felt like the magic system was a little bit underdeveloped. The romance itself didn't make me swoon. I didn't really like the characters, the main characters especially. I found them rather annoying. Some of the things they were saying were also like really, really cringy and just made me uncomfortable. So overall, like, it was not terrible. It was not the worst book. But also I did check the ratings of the next book, and they're not looking good, I'll be honest. So if people didn't rate it so well, and I already didn't love the first book, I just think there's no point in continuing because there's a very high chance that I will just end up not really enjoying it. So okay, and the last series that I decided to DNF is Belladonna. So this one I think also is pretty popular and pretty liked by people. And at first, I thought I would continue it, but I decided to just DNF it for a few different reasons. So first of all, I really like the world building and the whole premise of the book. Basically, this book talks about a girl who cannot die, and she can also see death himself, and she can see ghosts and all of that. So it's very interesting, and there's this mystery that she's trying to solve. So the mystery aspect was actually pretty cool. I liked the like gothic atmosphere. Like, it was pretty entertaining, but I didn't really like the characters, especially the character of Death was pretty disappointing. The romance was so cringy. I feel like the character of Death was like really like bland. Just not what I was expecting. So I don't know. These two factors just made it really hard for me to enjoy it. And I'm pretty sure the romance is going to be like a big part in the next books as well. So that's why I do not want to continue it, because I think the romance will just make me die of cringe. I'm sorry. But the cover is really pretty though. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. Today I talked about book series that I will continue and the ones I decided not to continue. So let me know if you've read any of these series and what did you think about them. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!